Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.
I'm now coming to you, Faith, and it'll be great. You can just pick up on what you've heard from other colleagues, add to it, change it. Finding an agreement is one thing, but love to hear your views.
Thank you, Hubert, and thank you very much for the invitation to speak today, because I think, and really, many of the points have been made that we're hearing. So I'm chair of the Institutional Investor Group on Climate Change, a European investor organisation dedicated to accelerating transition. We have over 375 members representing 60 trillion, and we're hearing these sort of messages, these asks. I mean, Marc-Andre really did summarise, I think, and beautifully captured kind of the messages we're hearing around kind of the de-risking, about the communication, the access to expertise, about being able to come up with solutions that are really accessible to all sorts of investors and making it super practical. So we're hearing this. I kind of feel that it's kind of work in progress. We know we have examples, and I'm sure Peter, because many of those examples are from Denmark, including PKAs, has done some great innovations in this area. But really, we only have a handful of examples to draw on. We are doing nowhere near enough in this area. So, but I think we're very self-aware of that. I think what I hear is the need for courage. I mean, the idea that you need to be worried about being marked down because you're going to do the right thing as a development bank is sort of so frustrating. We live in a world of risk and reward. If we don't take a risk, we're not going to get the reward. And the reward in this instance is obviously not just the financial opportunity, but, you know, essential climate action. So, you know, we do need to kind of find mechanisms to really break down these barriers. I mean, I think if I had to summarise a couple of things just to add into the mix, what we're looking for from policymakers, from regulators within, to get that pipeline, is to have really clear objectives from your country and make sure those go right from the top down to the local government. You know, a lot of the projects we'll be doing will be at that sort of local level, so we need that local government to be just as aligned as national government and vice versa, to make sure it's a very coherent programme from top to bottom. We need different sorts of structures to operate using there's a whole variety of financial instruments we can use, and we need to sort of access all of those so we can tap into that private finance across that sort of asset spectrum. And finally, I think a call probably to the IMDBs is the need for that. You really need to kind of understand kind of the investor voice a bit more strongly. I think sometimes there's quite frustration that investors are being apathetic, whereas in fact they've structured a deal that just doesn't allow us to access it. And I think it's about breaking down those barriers, actually speaking to each other and better understanding each other's needs, so that we can see that cooperation, as you said, Hubert. I mean, it's absolutely essential if we're actually to make any real progress on this, and just not assume that the language of a development bank is the same as a pension fund under an endowment. We do talk very different languages in terms of risk and return, and we need to break some of those barriers.
Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.